Welcome to this contrast painting tutorial for the Iron Golems from the Warcry Age of Sigmar Warhammer game. For this tutorial you will require a pot of Agrax Earthshade, contrast Akhelian Green, Space Wolves Grey, contrast Medium, Flesh Tearers Red, Retributor Armour, Brass Scorpion, Liberator Gold, Leadbelcher, Stormhost Silver and Pallid Witch Flesh. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint his flesh, and in order to do this, what I've done is I've created a roughly 3-to-1 mix using a medium layer brush of Space Wolves Grey and contrast medium. And this is to get a really subtle blue, kind of almost pallid, weird effect on his flesh. So the first thing we want to do is just want to slap it all over the skin like this, and you'll see that the kind of greyish blue just runs right into the recesses using this contrast medium, but doesn't overwhelm the grey seer that we've already got as the base colour. Once that skin is dry, you can see that we've got a nice shading just here underneath his armpit, for example, and it kind of looks a bit ghostly, a bit pale, which is exactly what we want for the Iron Golems. So the next stage is to thin down some Retributor Armour using our palette, and then we're going to coat all of the parts we want to be gold and red. So, because what we're going to do is we're going to do Flesh Tearers Red over the top of the gold. So we're just going to start applying it all over to things like his shoulder plate, his helmet, his kind of chest plate thing. And we're just going to go around the whole model and get this gold on there. Once that Retributor Armour is dry, the next thing we want to do is thin down some Leadbelcher using our palette. Then we want to base coat all of the silver parts. So we're going to do things like the chain on his weapon, and we're going to do things like the mail skirt, and any of these like spikes that come out of their armor panels. We're going to do silver as well. Once all those silver parts are dry, we want to use Brass Scorpion. We're going to thin some down with our water on our palette, and we're going to use it on all the parts that we want to be bronze. So in this case, we're going to do things like the balls on the end of his chain, hat, and we're also going to go around and find all of the, you'll see these little kind of spikes protruding from his skin, and they're different to the ones from the armour, so we're going to give those a bit of Brass Scorpion as well. Once those bits of Brass Scorpion are dry, what we're going to do is we're going to apply some Agrax Earthshade to the model over all the metallic parts, but we're going to do it in two different ways. So over the silver, we're going to smash it all over, right? Because we want a nice kind of dark, worn out, dirty looking silver. But on the gold areas, what we want to do is we kind of want to just, where you see that there's trim, you want to get Agrax Earthshade on there, but kind of try and avoid, if you can, these large, flat, open areas, because that's where some contrast is going to go. But we want to be able to shade all of these kind of trimmy bits first. Doesn't matter if you're not too neat here, because the contrast will cover up the shading, but what will happen is the Flesh Tearers Red over the Agrax Earthshade, it will kind of, if it's too Agrax Earthshadey, it'll look dull. So we're going to just be very careful when we're doing it. So like I said, we're going to do all over when it's on the silver parts like this, but then when it comes to like the trim, we're just going to be very careful and try and just kind of almost recess shade it like that. Once that shading's dry, what we're going to do is we're going to use Flesh Tearers Red over all the red armor panels. As you can see, the kind of the trim and stuff has been nicely darkened down and give us a nice worn kind of gold look, which is what we're going to want. We are going to highlight it, but what we're going to do now is going to use the Flesh Tearers Red over the gold. So we only need to take a little bit straight from the pot. And then what you want to do is you just want to be very careful around those trims, but you just want to start kind of painting the Flesh Tearers Red over the gold panels like that. So as you can see now, with that Flesh Tearers Red applied, the model's taken a massive leap forward. So what's next to do is to highlight all of the metallic parts. And so what we're going to do is we're going to thin down a little bit of Liberator Gold, and we're just going to go around and pick out all of the edges of the trim. So we want to take things like around the neck, around here, just with an edge highlight, like like that. But also what you want to do is you kind of, any of these kind of big gouges in the armor, like that one there, just on his arm, you just want to give it a tiny little thin as you can edge highlight. With Liberator Gold, like that. And it just picks out the battle damage nicely. So go around and do all of the gold. Sticking with Liberator Gold just for the moment, what we want to do is we want to take a little bit on a dry brush and you just want to use a bit of tissue paper to work the paint into the bristles and make it, get as much of it off as we possibly can. And then what we're going to do to give these kind of the I think it's Ebola or whatever it's called, the weapon, kind of the Morning Star things, a kind of worn bronzy look, we're just going to dry brush the Liberator Gold over it as the first dry brush, because we're also going to do some Stormhost Silver afterwards. Still sticking with the dry brush, we want to now dry brush some Stormhost Silver over all the kind of large silver parts. There's things like his weapon, his hammerhead, the chain, and the mail skirt. So you just want to start lightly dry brushing the Stormhost Silver over the chain, and this will pick out all of those highest links. And next up we want to take a little bit of thinned down Stormhost Silver and we just want to pick out all of the bits that we want to be like really bright, and these are things like these chain bits here that we couldn't catch with our dry brush. Links like that, and also the tips of this. And next up we want to take some thinned down Pallid witch flesh, and we only need a little bit, and we just want to pick out things like the absolute tips of his knuckles, so things like there, and across all five. Just add a little bit where the light catches. I'm going to do things like the tops of his toes as well. And the very last thing to do is we're going to use just a bit of Akhelian Green, and we want to use this on his weapon handle just here. And there you have it. That's the end of this tutorial with the completed Iron Golem. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Like, comment, subscribe, all that usual business. And yeah, look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you very much.